Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to get the inside info on BYU with Cougar insider Mitch Harper of KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. We're walking you up to coverage, of course, of the final regular season, final inaugural season game of this Utah Hockey Club coming up at 5 o'clock. You're going to get the pregame. Utah, of course, taking on the St. Louis Blues. What's the standings with the Blues situation? Can they spoil anybody's party tonight? Can they still beat St. Louis and St. Louis doesn't make the playoffs? Alma says yes.
Yes,
yeah, I'm
they
in.
can. Calgary's still alive.
I'm in.
There's a 2-point gap between the Blues and the Flames. And, yeah, if Utah wins tonight, then the Calgary Flames are still alive.
How about 89 points? We're 1 point away from a 90-point season. And that 7-3 win over the Predators last night, awesome. The 5-3 win over Dallas the other night, awesome. Or was it 4? Did they end up putting – oh, no, they took that one goal off, the goalie interference one.
Yeah.
Nice. See, I love it. See, here's the thing about this. I am all in on ruining other people's days, all right? That's where I'm at when it comes to this. So the hockey club getting the possibility to ruin St. Louis's chance to go to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I love it. I love everything about it.
So here's the scenario. St. Louis has one game left tonight. If Utah beats them, they're stuck at 94. The Flames play tonight, and again they have one more game after that. So they have 2 games left.
Oh man. See, this is killer, man.
Their final game is on Thursday. They will visit the Kings. So this is not going to be easy for them because tonight the Flames play the Golden Knights at home, and they'd have to go to LA and beat the Kings. But it's possible. And how would that feel for Utah to knock the Blues out of the playoffs potentially?
Crazy. Joining us on the program right now to kick off this hour, he is the BYU insider for KSLSports.com. He's also a lover of awkward situations, too, and we're going to bring up some non-BYU things with our own Mitch Harper here real quick at the top. This portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and now in Linden, where you can find their Kia dealership. Mitch Harper joining us on the program. What's going on, Mitch?
Hey, what's up, guys? Have to be on.
Please give me a comparable move of Colorado retiring the jerseys already of Shedeur and Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, I get. Shedeur Sanders is getting his jersey retired at the spring game coming up this weekend at Colorado. What would be the equivalent at BYU if they were to retire a jersey before the next season of somebody who had even, I mean, it hasn't even been a calendar year since they started off last season. And Shedeur Sanders getting into the Hall of Fame, or getting
they
into
haven't even been drafted in the NFL yet.
The jersey retirement at this juncture is an insanity, right?
Yes, I was kind of surprised by that, especially when they really didn't win anything other than Travis Hunter. He deserves it with the Heisman, and what he did was incredible, but they got hammered. We watched them in that Alamo Bowl, and BYU crushed that team. And so it was very surprising to see that. As far as a BYU equivalent, that's a good question. I would probably say, what, you then anoint James Lark for his 2012?
No. But it would be like Zach Wilson after that 1 year, right? You're like
getting way carried away about a season that was just kind of weird.
Zach Wilson would probably be the good comp there because really Zach didn't win anything other than
right.
He won the Potato Bowl and the Boca Raton.
Yeah, man.
But that's probably the comparison. Honestly, Zach Wilson. I like that. That's probably the
draft pick.
Comp.
A high draft pick going in going to go high in probably higher than he should be going in the NFL draft.
And you would
or retire a
understand
jersey.
BYU fans being like, well, we didn't retire John Beck's number. We didn't retire Max Hall's number. We didn't even retire Taysom's number.
There's a little bit of a case of Shedeur stepped in when they were at rock bottom as a program. Zach Wilson stepped in when BYU was 4-9, and they were down and out. And maybe his successes got a little bit amplified more just because they kind of forgot winning culture. I think that's the comparison. Zach and Shedeur, if BYU did that.
Family way too involved. Right? I mean, the comps keep going. All right, Mitch. Let's talk some BYU football and hoops. I guess football is nothing's really going on right now. But from the basketball standpoint, how insane of a deal is it to see the numbers that have been associated with what this roster could bring? Give me a dollar amount so far that is alleged to be attached to the roster for next season for BYU's basketball program.
Well, you start with DeBonsa and Rob Wright, the reported numbers, and that gets anywhere to about, $7.5 million, $3 to $4.5 million between those two. And that's already getting at 7.5. And if you're going to try to get Richie Saunders back, I mean, that's got to be at least 7 figures. So 3 guys potentially, you're looking close to $10 million there. I mean, I think that anywhere, probably like $10 million, $11 million would have to be a number you'd look at. It was interesting this past weekend talking with BYU's advancement vice president, Keith Vorkink, about, BYU's strategy with NIL. And, because I wanted to hear BYU's side of this, because when you do hear these numbers tossed around for BYU guys, there's this narrative that is really building in college basketball where BYU just spills out money out of their pockets and they're just letting it fly down in Provo. And it was interesting to hear his perspective on the BYU side of how they're going about it. Very similar to what Clark Gilbert, the church education commissioner, said on X, that they're not going to be the highest bidder. He doubled down on that they will not be the highest bidder at BYU. And that's an interesting thought, too, because when you do get to a revenue sharing era, when that does get that settlement gets signed off in the court system and really reshapes college athletics, you're now going to get to a point where the NCAA is going to supposedly have a clearinghouse where any outside booster donations have to be cleared by the NCAA. That doesn't factor in revenue sharing, which would come directly from the school. Mm-hmm. So did we see, and anything above $600 will have to go through this supposed NCAA clearinghouse? Could that, is that why we're seeing the windfall of massive numbers around college basketball? And I'm sure in the coming weeks in college football nationally, these massive numbers, because this could be the last of maybe the boosters and collectives really running the big dollar amounts for these players.
Looking at what this means for BYU basketball with the addition of Rob Wright, I was looking around, and there's some way too earlys that moved BYU from in the teens to all the way up to number 5 overall.
Oof.
Going into the season. Why does Rob Wright, why is his addition have that kind of impact in the minds of many that cover college basketball?
He's a guard that's given BYU headaches for so many years. I mean, even last year, against the Houstons, the Alabamas. I mean, he's just he's got a skill set where he can create. He's got to improve his three-point shooting a little bit, but he's shown an ability to be a facilitator too. And I think with the spacing in BYU's offense, it looks like a great fit for what he's going to be at BYU on the court. And I'm really curious to see how Kevin Young brings all of this together. Guys that are, high-paid athletes coming to BYU, getting big paychecks. How does he bring that together? Because that was a big piece to their success this past year. Getting to the Sweet 16 was, that chemistry in the locker room. Even when guys were down and out about their roles, they seemed to, on the surface at least, kind of still be bought in until the tail end when you kind of saw Cam Catchings, basically moving on and stuff. But for the most part, it was, that was a group that was bought in, regardless of what the roles were. And I think that helped the cause. So it'll be a challenge for Kevin Young, I would imagine, to bring all this together. But the good thing is that he has been, around big personalities, big talents, and Kevin Durant and such, Devin Booker and whatnot. But, it's a great fit. I mean, this BYU team is built to go contend for for the Big 12 title next year. Houston's going to be a force. Texas Tech is going to be excellent still, even regardless of what happens with Darian Williams. Getting JT Toppin back for a reported $4 million was huge.
Wow.
This is going to be an amazing league. At least it should be. And look, I thought this past year was going to be amazing, and the regular season was not in a non-conference, but it ended up being a really good year in the postseason for the Big 12. But BYU's in the thick of it. I mean, they're in the upper tier of this league now, right now. And the way that Kevin Young is building up the program, he now put it. He had the. There was a lot of questions about him when it came to last year at this time, roster construction, recruiting. He's passed out with flying colors. Now he's got the piece to say he's got on-court success too, and he's got player development. But I think a lot of this still rests on, Richie Saunders, who's not publicly made any sort of announcement at all about his decision. And we still got a week from today when the transfer portal closes and the NBA draft deadline coming up later this month. What's his decision? Where's his mind at? Because he is key to all of this. If BYU is going to be that top 5 team or Big 12 title contender, Richie Saunders is got to be part of this group. And Kevin Young kind of hinted at the retention piece last week with Yegor Demon's announcement and talked about next year's team, and almost kind of in between the lines seemed to indicate Richie would be back, but no formal announcement yet from Richie, and he's someone that I'm sure could command a big market for being a first-team All-Big 12 guy. But on paper, this team looks to be pretty good, really good, one of the best teams that I've seen assembled so far. They still got spots open that they got to fill.
Mitch, what's the thing that's going to draw these guys now? I mean, money. Let's say the money's equal. Let's say the money's even close to being equal, and guys are being convinced to come to BYU for a season, right? What's the thing that's really pulling them in? I would think that a guy like Wright comes in, sees the environment at the Marriott Center this year, and goes, "This is kind of nice." Like that's a pretty nice recruiting tool. But on top of it, what are the things that are drawing guys in here? Because saying, "Hey, we're going to win here," it's like, dude, he's coming from Baylor. You know what I mean? Like he would be starting at Baylor. He'd be going to Baylor. He'd be getting $3 million at Baylor probably. Maybe around that money line. I don't know. But all things being equal, what's the thing that's putting BYU over the top of teams like Baylor or even some of these other what you're calling top-tier teams in the Big 12 or even across the country?
Well, for this year's team, it's having potential the next Cooper Flagg in the sport on this roster, and AJ DeBonsa. That's huge. And for Rob Wright, he's had he's crossed paths with AJ DeBonsa, played against him, played on some teams as well. They've got some relationship there, and that helps the cause. I think anyone, BYU's got, when you dive into BYU more, if you're a prospect, then you look at, you really get deep into it with the arena and stuff like that. And yes, that can be a piece, but I think you got to have the NIL that's competitive. And I remember sitting in Kevin Young's office last summer talking to him about his thoughts on NIL and how BYU approached it. And I remember him talking about how they are competitive. And that was always the messaging. And that's been kind of the consistent theme from BYU administrators and coaches, regardless of the sport, that they are competitive and that they can go get top prospects. So that was the first thing. And then you add in the element of Kevin Young's just got, kind of the sign off of NBA contacts will vouch for him. And now he's also got an on-court product of the player development piece at BYU where he's turned Richie Saunders into a guy that could be an NBA draft prospect. He was knocking down 45% of his threes this past season in the Big 12. Richie Saunders was outstanding. He was an excellent player. That was one of the best individual seasons I've seen from a BYU player since Jimmer. I mean, that was an excellent year by Richie Saunders, and I don't think anyone would have envisioned that a year ago, considering he was viewed as a glue guy. So there's a lot for Kevin Young to point to right now. And there's still that element of, hey, come be the legend at BYU, a place that's just kind of dying to get the national successes and be in a Final Four and be contending for national titles. If Rob Wright can do that, even if it's only 1 year, those guys will be forever BYU legends if they can deliver a Final Four. So there's that piece too. And I think that's what makes BYU so intriguing. They got to have the money of course. that's the starting point. But more than that, they have these interesting pieces that when you're a prospect and then you got the connections with the Bonsa, if you're a guy like Rob Wright, it makes a lot of sense. And BYU gets a guy in Rob Wright who just seems, again, like a perfect fit. And BYU's got a system that they're building that Kevin Young's going to have a high-powered offense, and I think that's got to be inviting too.
Got a football topic to discuss with you. Earlier in our show, we discussed CBS Sports publishing an article called College Football's Top 150 Players of 2025, the definitive spring rankings. Only one BYU player in the top 150. Utah had 4. BYU just won, and it was Jake Retzloff at 100. Who did they miss that should have been there at BYU? And is Jake Retzloff the best player for the Cougars?
They missed 2 guys, Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly. Those guys should be absolutely in the top 100. I think they're 2 of the best linebackers in the Big 12. I mean, Isaiah Glasker, number 1 in tackles for loss last season with 12.5. Glasker, talking to him coming out of spring, I asked him, if he considered the portal, and he said that no, he didn't consider the portal at all. He was so committed to Kalani Sitake and really wanted to see it through with Sitake. And he said, though, he acknowledged that he was really considering possibly the NFL, and the same goes for Jack Kelly. Jack Kelly was at one point 50-50 on his decision before coming back to BYU. And but those 2 players, I think, form a really special linebacker unit. BYU's had great linebacker units really over the last 4 decades. It's been a position of strength, really, when Lavelle kind of took it over. But I think this has got the potential with Glasker, with Jack Kelly, with Harrison Taggart in the middle. There's budding stars with Sialia Serra, Ace Kafusi, Miles Hall, a guy that played a lot last season, the back half of the season. He's going to take a big step forward. This is a really good linebacker unit. I'm very surprised that list left off Kelly and Glasker because those are some big-time playmakers in the Big 12 and 2 of the best, I think, in this league. As far as Retzloff goes, I don't think he's the number 1 guy. I would say that L.J. Martin, to me, is the number 1 offensive player for BYU. And I don't know if he's a top 100 guy right now. I mean, I think there's that case maybe if you reevaluated this list at, week 5 or 6, I'd put him in there potentially. If he looks like the back he was every week in the Alamo Bowl, he will definitely be one of the top running backs in college football this year. But I think that evaluation of Martin is more potential based because he's been so banged up in and out. He's got to stay healthy, but back-to-back years of being the number 1 rusher for BYU, he seems due for a big breakout year this season, even bigger than what he did last year, which was about 848 yards. So Retzloff, though, he's got to be special, though. I mean, he's kind of the key to it all. If he takes a big step forward and gets to some of that efficiency that we saw, as we mentioned, Zach Wilson, if he gets to that level, BYU's got the pieces around him to be in a place to, be in a position again to go in that final week and have a chance to go to the Big 12 title game if the tiebreakers break their way. So, I'm not too surprised that Retzloff was on the 100. I think it was 100, number 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that there's some players on BYU's offense that maybe better skill set wise, maybe projecting the NFL, but he's the key to it all for BYU if they want to get to the heights they want to reach.
Mitch Harper, he's our BYU insider for KSLSports.com, does a phenomenal job. Read his byline there. Anything BYU related that is breaking or that is new or that is in depth, it's going to be right there on KSLSports.com, courtesy of Mitch. Mitch, thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate it. We'll keep bugging you here in the offseason. There's no offseason, by the way, just letting you know.
No days off.
That's right. I mean, I was thinking about it today. There's portal closes, but football portal opens up tomorrow. So
yeah, man.
It's always going. So there's no shortage storylines, and we always got it covered on KSL Sports.
Well, that's good. Yeah, now that you mention that, if the transfer portal opens tomorrow, no sleep for Mitch. He's gonna be tapped into the wires, man. He's gonna be listening in.
If there's a that being said coming from a BYU Cougar or somebody coming to BYU, Mitch is all over it.
You remember those old U-boat spy movies? Mitch is that guy with the headsets on, and he's listening in. He does not. He will snoop on you.
Transfer portal sonar.
He will snoop on you. All right, Mitch, we appreciate it, man. We'll chat with you again.
See you guys. Take care.
There you go, Mitch Harper. He's the best. He does the best job. The freaking best job. Okay. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. We got some stuff to dive into still. We've also got we're keep rolling out our new promo that we have going on. Our new awesome fundraiser that we have. We'll give you a little bit of an idea as to how to donate to Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital. It all goes to a good cause, on top of the fact that it could help land the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. We'll give you details next. Stay here. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex, with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I already asked Alex the question, Beastie Boys? And he said yes. Pet Shop Boys? Never heard of them.
Beach Boys?
Oh, come on.
Boys to Men?
Oh, hey now.
Okay.
I love it. He looked to the side, though, like, okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Well, the trick will be for you to find a Pet Shop Boys song to play in our bump.
The original,
in our final segment.
Hey, the original Bad Boys, starring Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Bad Boys 2, certainly though, right? Okay, come on. See, look, we're just trying to get hip with the kids these days.
Or we're trying to introduce some of these oldies but goodies to the young people who listen
Alex,
to our program and watch our program on YouTube.
Congrats, no cap. Ah.
Boy, that Alex sure has a lot of riz, doesn't he?
Walt Risney over here.
We call you the Rizzler?
Oh, come on. All right. If we start doing that, come on.
Let's stop.
Our program.
That's cringe, as the kids would say.
Our program does a really, really fun thing every week, and that is we ask you for your nominations for the youth sports volunteer in your neighborhood who does a phenomenal job, who doesn't get the recognition. This is your time to recognize them. How do you do it?
All the Sigmas out there.
Go to kslsports.com/contests and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. We read those off and we celebrate the efforts of the volunteers who make an awesome effort in their communities to build the youth sports the way that they should be done, the right way. Just go to kslsports.com/contests and sign up the Hercules Hero of the Week in your neighborhood, and then they get a prize from Beehive Meals and Hercules First Federal Credit Union, who both bring you the Hercules Hero of the Week. Hercules. Let me see here. We have our final hockey game of the 2024-2025 season.
Oh, I'm sad.
I know it's a bummer because honestly, and I say this with zero trying to cheese it up or ham it up at all. It has been the thing that has brought my 2 younger boys and I the closest this year, the hockey club.
That's cool.
That's
what it's about.
The 2 older boys watch the games. It's fine. Those boys have soaked it all up. They've soaked it all up. And so my thanks to Ryan and Ashley Smith for bringing a team here, because it's brought our family something amazing to be able to jam in our front room with. You know what I mean? Like, that to me has been, and sports are like that anyway, but the hockey club this year gave us something that the Jazz didn't give us, right?
Yeah, fair.
And that's less a diss on the Jazz as much as it is just like to be able to have this blessing of the hockey team here. I know that sounds cheesy, but the reality is I got to hang out with Hank and Deacon way more than I normally get to in the evenings. And you know what? To their credit, they took advantage fully of it by staying up later and missing bedtime.
Are we not sure that's actually what's going on here?
I'm okay with it. No, they were so into it. That's so into it. They know all the guys.
And you got to go to you took them to a game in Florida,
I
right?
did. Took them to the Panthers place in Florida. It was awesome. And that's how into it they are. We've got pictures and we've got all these things. They got the gear, and they're going to remember this season more than any other, probably. That very first year that they came. And I hope it's starting up, a lifetime of fandom for those boys. I really do. It's going to be cool for them. Let's dip into morning skate today. You have the rare back-to-back. I mean, I guess it's not rare. I don't see the back-to-backs nearly as much as you do like in the NBA. I know that the seasons last about the same amount of time. So maybe on paper they do have the same amount of back-to-backs. I don't know.
Roughly, yeah.
But hockey just seems
10.
like such a hard turnaround to go. These guys are dying on the ice every night, and then they're all, anyway, wake up tomorrow and do the same thing. and they've got to do that tonight. They beat the Predators last night 7-3. That's after coming off of that win, of course, against Dallas 5-3 on Saturday. And they can wrap up an amazing season with an amazing win tonight at St. Louis and ruin things. Let's start first with the head coach, Andre Tourney, what he said at morning skate. Let's dip in.
Veg in net, Bert in for Dissimon, and Yami in for Obi. I think there's unfortunately we're not in the position to make the playoff, but we're in position to play game 82 against a team who will have that desperation, and they need that game. So it's an opportunity for us to have our say in the playoff picture, and we will be ready.
What has Robert Bertuzzo meant to this team? I know he's only played a bit, but in the room.
Yeah, but that's you said it right. I don't think you can measure his impact only by what he did on the ice. The veteran presence, the championship pedigree, the composure, and the kind of teammate he is, the brother he is for our group meant a ton. And I think the guys are all excited to have him back tonight.
You saw him. We last saw him in game against Calgary.
Yeah.
Around that time, he got injured.
Yeah.
How has he really battled back from injury and kind of forced his way back in the line?
I think he's been a great pro. Just a great example for everybody. The way he showed up every day with not just doing the work with a purpose, with a focus, with enthusiasm. Great job, and we're happy to have him today.
You mentioned it a bit, but being able to be a spoiler tonight, possibly, does that motivate the group at all?
Well, you want to have a say. You want to be one of those teams. So I think we, St. Louis, the way they play, give them a lot of credit since the formation break. But at the same time, we want to show what we're capable of, and we have the opportunity to play a game where will be a playoff intensity. We want to be in the playoff. We won't be in the playoff. It's not the same meaning for us than it will be for them, but we'll see the desperation they have, and that will be a good measure stick for us.
With Kaylor Yamamoto back in the lineup, what has he provided for your team ever since being retired?
Yeah, hockey sense, playmaking, poise, experience, compete level. Really good at winning battle, winning loose puck recovery, those kind of things.
What are the emotions behind this being the final game? I know you've been locked in on the games, but are you able to, appreciate it?
I don't want to. I want just be the best we can be for tonight. Unfortunately, we'll have months to be like you said. So we'll do so when time will be. But we spend the last 30 years of my life to remind young men to live in the present. Try to live by that motto.
Coach Bear Tourney, our favorite weekly guest here on the program from the Utah Hockey Club. Steady Eddie, right? I mean, it's as steady as it gets for guys that. Now, I do have one clarification I need to make though. He said Veginet, but is he saying no veggie in the net, or is there veggie in the net tonight? What did we get from that? Alma, is he starting? All right. So Veggie's back in.
Was he talking about some kind of like food product or something?
That's why I choose the Veggie Net. Washes all my produce. The Veggie Net catches 95% of all bugs that are found in your produce.
Don't be caught eating your vegetables without a Veggie Net.
Oh my goodness. No, we're as bad as the broccoli head guy at this point. All right? Apologies. But Bear, steady as it gets.
What a job he's done.
Everybody's like waiting there. Anyway, could you get choked up a little bit talking about this team? He's like, I'm just trying to win a hockey game tonight.
Yeah, business as usual.
I can't. We're not going to. And he said it right. He goes, unfortunately, we're going to have a few months to be able to dissect how things went this year. And we're going to have to look, we're all very positive about how stuff's going. If they end up with 91 points this year after a win tonight, or 90 points after, or even 89. I mean, frankly, if they lose this game tonight, people are going to look around and go, man, what an awesome season. But these guys, it's their job to sit down here and go, you know who wasn't good enough? This person. You know where we can get better? With this. You know where we need to start spending some money? At this position. Those reality checks are going to happen over the next few months. And that's why for us to go, Coach, talk a little bit about how fun it is. Tell me about how much fun you've had this year in
That's just
Utah.
not that guy's vibe.
He's not going to do that. He'd go, it's been great. It's been awesome. We love our ownership here because they actually like us. We like the fans because they're showing up. We like feeling secure in a job in 2025. He's not going to tell you he loves you, all right? He's just going to try to win as many hockey games as he can. But I'm still going to ask him on Friday when he comes back on the show for the final time if he loves us, all right? It's still going to happen. You like Utah, right? We have such low sports self-esteem here. Do you like us? Did you like it here?
Yeah, I think they like it.
Were the hotels fun? The stuff we do to make sure that just stay here, please. Come on. And I hope other professional sports leagues, Commissioner Manfred, I'm looking at you. The amount of free pub that Major League Baseball is going to get forever from this market is unmatched. The amount of love that you're going to get for bringing a franchise here to the state of Utah. All right. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. We've got more, and it's not very much more, but we're going to get to what tonight looks like against the St. Louis Blues team. But we'll get you ready for this Utah Hockey Club pregame. Utah, it's a hockey night in Utah. Hockey late afternoon in Utah. Puck drops at 6, pregame at 5. So stay here, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Short time, Utah. Getting you ready for the Utah Hockey Club Hockey Night in Utah coming up right after this. Good pull. Good pull. Let me see here. JJ, St. Louis Blues and the Utah Hockey Club. Mixed results this year between these two clubs, and you heard Andre Tourney. This team needs it. The St. Louis Blues need this game. Need it. Have to have it, which is a great test in a final game for this Utah Hockey Club to go, we don't care. We'll spoil your entire season. No problem. We'll do it. They need some help from the Calgary Flames, but it's a good thing to be able to keep your guys sharp. You don't have to convince pros who are getting paid every night, I don't think, to go out there and fight their butts off. But
yeah,
especially in the NHL.
These hockey players are wired different, as we've learned this year. But I also love that this team is really thinking about the future, and winning tonight means something to them. There's no love lost between them and the Blues. I don't know what the deal is this year, but there's been a little bit of a thing with them. And I think this is going to be fun to watch that play out. It's fun to be a spoiler. It's fun to ruin someone else's season. So let's see how much fun Utah has tonight in St. Louis. I think they're going to give them a tough time. I think Utah's playing really good hockey right now.
They are. Interested to see how they do it. I mean, you think about this Blues team, too. A month ago, 6 weeks ago, Utah Hockey Club and the St. Louis Blues were basically in the same spot in the standings.
It took a 12-game win streak for the Blues to be in this position.
Yeah, and even then, they've had a little bit of a rough patch, and so they haven't been able to totally finish it off yet. So they need this win tonight, and so I think it's going to be a big one. If they can pull it off, the Utah Hockey Club can absolutely – they can get to 91 points on the season, which is very respectable. Utah Hockey Club, Hockey Night in Utah coming right up for JJ. I'm Alex, our producer Alex. We bid you adieu till tomorrow. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.